For far too long, people of faith have been asked to go outside and do stuff. And that's fine if that's your bag, but what about those who say, no, that's not my bag? I don't want to go outside and do stuff. Well, you're in luck. Now you can live the Christian life without leaving your couch. Attend church in your pajamas. Just choose your settings. Pick your style of music. You can even play a face-melting solo with the worship band. Rock on! Join a small group and fellowship with your brothers and sisters in Christ. And when you get tired of them, just create new ones. Challenge your small group leader to a duel if you don't like his message. And everyone knows the Christian life is more than just being fed. So get your avatar out there in the virtual community and do your part. Be a fisher of men. Pray for the sick. Volunteer at an orphanage. Feed the homeless. Start your own prison ministry. And when things get out of hand, teach those thugs how to turn the other cheek. Fulfill the Great Commission from the seated position. Live out your faith from the safety and comfort of your own living room. We Faith, virtual church for the virtual Christian, from None to Know.
We come to week 5 of our our spiritual DNA. And while that may look really comfortable to sit on the couch in your pajamas to live out your faith, not interacting with real people, that's not our spiritual DNA. And you know what? Sometimes we have to get uncomfortable in order to grow. We have to stretch in order to grow, and that might mean stretching outside of our comfort zones. But that's okay because we are all in this together. It is our spiritual DNA. And we want to grow together as disciples of Jesus as we follow him. So let's take a look at the importance of DNA, both our biological and our spiritual DNA. DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, is the hereditary material in humans and almost all other organisms. Nearly every cell in a person's body has the same DNA. So we see that it's not something that you add to your life. It informs how you live. It is integrated into who you are and becomes a part of every cell. The function of DNA is to store all the genetic information that an organism needs to develop, function, and reproduce. Essentially, it is the biological instruction manual found in each of your cells. So that's our biological DNA, but it directly relates to our spiritual DNA because our spiritual DNA is our instruction manual found in our identity as followers of Jesus. It is what helps us develop as followers of Jesus. It informs how we live and function as followers of Jesus. And it is how we reproduce as followers of Jesus. We depend on God. We nurture relationships and we advance Jesus' mission. So now that we have our DNA, our spiritual DNA, we cannot be separated from it. It's part of us. It's part of who we are. We live, breathe, and reproduce by our DNA. Well, these 5 weeks are coming to a close, but our DNA goes with us. So as we continue, we want to remember that God can do more in and through us, as we read in Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we can ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Jesus tells us in Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 through 27, after he gives his Sermon on the Mount, or as a closing to his Sermon on the Mount, he says, therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundations on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. We've been hearing about this DNA. We've been discussing it. I pray that you have been growing through this process, and we want to continue in our DNA as we function, develop, and reproduce our DNA. Take this time now to reflect on how you are doing in your spiritual DNA and to discuss as a group, what is your next step so that God can do far more than you could ever ask or imagine.